Welcome to episode 9 of the Protege, and this is always one of my favorites because this is the one that causes the most problems for all of the contestants. To this point, we've been focusing on granular detail and building out our value propositions and all of the other things, but at the end of the day, your elevator pitch and your cold call script is the very beginning of how you're going to deliver that. And so in this episode, you're going to watch the contestants take all of the complex stuff that they've put together and make it as simple as they possibly can so they can have a 30-second conversation in an elevator and share the way they went about building the scripts to book appointments on the phone. Do not let this fool you. It sounds easy. It isn't. And I get that feedback with literally every submission from the contestants. But what I want you to be thinking about is how you can apply this to yourself. The thing that's important about having a script and having this mapped out is not so you can read it word for word. Nobody ever does that. It simply provides you with a framework that is necessary for you to not forget. And if you post it somewhere, it also holds you accountable because every time you look at it, you know you need to be calling or you need to be doing marketing drops. And so you can go off script. You can use it as a framework and make it your own every single time to adapt to whoever you're talking to. But you need to formalize it because if it's not formalized, it's never going to get put into action. So I really enjoyed the different submissions that I got. And what I can tell you is this crew is going to make it really, really difficult for me to narrow this thing down to a top 6. Stay tuned. So here's what you need to do. You've taken your time. You've done your digital marketing strategy. You've been to a trade show. You've come up with what your value proposition is going to be or those things outside of insurance you're going to do. But the problem is you don't have the ability to just sit down and ramble to everybody about those things. You have to get their attention and be able to get more time to go in and meet with them to actually talk about what you're really going to do. So in order for you to do that, you have to have a good phone script and you have to have a good elevator pitch. Okay. Now, when we had Chris Beal from the Connect and Sell on my podcast, he talked about having 7 seconds to get someone's attention. 7 seconds. So here's the challenge. You need to create your phone script. Now listen, a phone script isn't something you're going to sit here and read word for word every time. It's just a framework of how you're going to have your phone conversation. And over time, you're going to make it your own. You're going to change, tweak, whatever, but come up with your basic script and then come up with your basic 30-second elevator pitch, 30 seconds to a minute. And that's it. So between the phone script in the elevator pitch, there's no problem at all keeping that video under 5 minutes. If you go over 5 minutes in this challenge, we have a problem. So there's your challenge. I hope everybody has fun with this one. It should be a breeze. Get it wrapped up. And then next week, 2 weeks, it will be the last challenge of the challenge phase of the competition. Hope you guys are ready.
Don't remember if I won this challenge in season 1, but I was near the top. And I've told Lions pretty deep what I like to do. I like to just do the tactics from Chris Voss, negotiation tactics, labeling and mirroring. I just ask the first question and shut up and listen. And a lot of times they'll talk themselves into a meeting. But the script that I used was Carruthers. See, I started using this before the Protege even actually came on because he did a podcast about it. So I started actually using his tactics before it was a challenge on the Protege. So it helped me in that this challenge in season 1. But it's 2 no's to a yes. So you want them to say no instead of yes. So that's a tactic you can think of, you can use. You can go go back in season 1 and watch it. But I personally have since changed it to 3 no's. I don't try to get a yes at all. I try to get a yes out of a no. And what I'll say is, instead of saying, a lot of people say, does that sound good to you? That's a typical, I'll say, does that sound like a terrible idea? Or would you be against doing this? Or would it be a ridiculous idea to XYZ? And they don't feel as pressured to say yes, but they say yes by saying no. So feel free to use that if you want.
And don't dump on them, right? Don't dump what you can do, right? For the most part, don't die. You can hint at things when like the mod's high. You can hint at things like that. But to them, they don't have a problem, right? That's what a lot of people always say. That's what Josh Brown says. That's what Benjamin says. They don't have a problem in their eyes. Some might, and they'll be open to talk. But there's a lot that will just think, I'm perfectly fine. I don't need this guy hounding me. He's wasting my time right now. It's more of going on and just talking about them, I guess, more importantly, than about what you can do to a problem that they don't think they have.
Like David said, it's not the fairly simple challenge, but it will be writing and rewriting and putting stuff out. You're not going to like it, what you first write, and that's why it changes. And then you might start overthinking it, and sending it to me, Mick, use Brian as well too, just to get his input, whatever. But like anything, each prospect, there's the generic. I had a list, and I would call everyone on a list, and that probably is not my most successful way. In being more targeted and knowing more about your prospects, you're going to be more successful too.
Mm-hmm.
And when you have certain targets you're going after, those cold call scripts, you'll have a generic base foundation, but it is going to tweak to who you're talking to. And I know in the last year's season, there's some good stuff. I'm sure I have some article stuff too. There's a gentleman, Charles Speck. If you've seen any of his stuff on LinkedIn. He calls it
SPCHT?
Yeah, he calls it the cold call carrot. And I know that's where I kind of say the hook, but and especially in insurance, if it was, in his case, using workers' comp, he throws a number out there of where we've seen savings of uses percentages or $20,000 because you are comparing industries. So he likes things like that. And it's going to come down to, I think, a big thing Brian said, your personalities are also going to be your strengths too. So it's like everything. I look at it like cooking. I never really follow a recipe, but I look at a lot of recipes to make my own. And that's what's going to happen for you to have a successful cold call script and your elevator pitch. And I think you guys are all going to do great.
I know I understand the difference between an elevator pitch, a cold call, and then my follow-up call. But what should I not have in one or the other?
All right. So the elevator pitch, always think about extending your hand and saying, hi, how you doing? Right. That's how you see it.
Sure.
It's a little bit different than over the phone for the cold calling, because that's more of an informal introduction because they would not be able to see your face. So the elevator pitch is more personalized. The cold call, it's not as personalized as that. However, it always helps if you try to figure out how to make it personal. So that's when you do the research. So let's just say you're talking to the COO, the CEO, or even the controller or the CFO of the company, looking for where they went to school. Hey, listen, I saw you went to school in Indiana and this school. By the way, I went there too. The reason I'm calling you is this. And I want to talk to you about X,
I would focus on it from overall view and focus on the fact that it's an informed, what is it that you called it?
The information process.
The information process. I would use that. Yes, you could say I'm, risk management, your title, you own a business in this. We have a proprietary process where we help, name your verticals.
Okay.
We help these people maintain, more money in their bottom line by effective and holistic approach to risk management, safety, blah, 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 blah.
Okay.
I don't think that, and yeah, you can say it, but you said it twice. You said that you're at the beginning, in the middle, at the end of two separate processes. So I think that maybe just say, you could wrap it up more high level.
Right.
Not in each process. I would focus on your process. Do you have a process like figured out or no?
That was kind of what I went through in the last challenge. The videos, like the process is I don't know. I don't know that I have I don't have it on paper,
Right.
So
do you know, even like for example, in the boot camp presentation that I did, and I'm going to do it now in Arizona, I say that one of the things that helps my brand be memorable is my proprietary process, the bunker edge. It's 4 steps to get you to move from your business from danger to a safe place with us. And it's this, and this. I can send it to you. It's just, I added name, and I'm not saying for you to think about this now, because it's going to delay this. You don't have to get into those weeds right now, but really, if you can say, my process to help businesses, it's a 3-step proprietary process called this, where we help, residential contractors, new home builders keep, more money in their bottom line with effective, or, one of those buzzwords of sort of risk management solutions, where they're already paying these costs outside of that. You can bring in the fact that it's not really any extra cost to them.
Yeah.
It's dollars they're already spending on their insurance and risk management programs, but it's allocated to someone that's pouring back into them. Sometimes, I feel like elevator pitches are meant to be a little abstract to hook people, So that's why I don't think I would go into the process, but you can say yes, it does include services like, claims advocacy, OSHA, help with OSHA pre-inspections, compliance overall.
So let's dive right in. For my elevator pitch, here we go. Firm Secured works with real estate brokers across the country who are concerned with the increase in litigation against agents in the current real estate market, and those brokers who are worried about their firm's exposure to cyber attacks and the cost that would have on their agency and clients. For my cold call section, I tried to spend the extra 2 minutes going into answering some objections. I'm going to try to make this short and keep it under 5 minutes. So, cold calls to the real estate broker's cell phone, especially those who are with the state program. Hey, David, I got a quick question for you if you have a second. Awesome. My name is Jonathan at Firm Secured. I help real estate brokers in Tennessee who are concerned with their agents getting sued in the crazy market we're in right now, and who are worried that their firm's errors and omissions just isn't adequate to cover the claims that are on the rise right now. I didn't know if that's relevant to you and worth finding 15 minutes to catch up next week. At this point, they're going to talk. They're going to tell me who they're with. They're going to tell me they're not interested, or if they are, they're going to ask more questions. So I can use some mirroring techniques, continue to talk. I've answered several objections here.
Here's what I liked about what you did. You followed the challenge to a T. You gave me the elevator pitch. You gave me your cold call script for telemarketing. You actually went the extra 2 minutes. Like you said, you identified it. I agree with you. You looked at each of the objections that you commonly hear. You addressed those. And then you also did one for voicemail, which is something that not everybody else did. So really, really good job on this challenge. It's so important when you do this stuff to formalize it and have it to where it's in front of you and keeps you accountable and helps you see it every day, that you read it and refresh it. You don't need to have the script in front of you and read from it. You're not going to have an elevator pitch in something, a piece of paper that you're glancing down and talking to somebody. Scripts are there to become habits, okay, to hold you accountable and to be a framework. Even in movies, when people have scripts, there's plenty of times that some of the best actors go off script and create the most memorable moments. So if you use this as a framework and you continue to define it and define objections and refine your script to meet that, it's going to play in the real world all day, every single day. So really good job on this challenge, Jonathan. I'm happy to see you back where you belong.
Here is my elevator pitch. I use my process and also my value proposition and an ad within my elevator pitch. So 15-second quick elevator pitch. Here you go. My name is Mitch Gibson with HRM Insurance Services. Through our proprietary Comp Shield process, I help place you in greater control of your business's workers' compensation insurance by identifying and analyzing the key issues affecting and impacting your bottom line. Identifying these factors allows us to partner and create and implement cost-effective solutions that allow you, the business owner, to focus more on the future and vision of your business and less time cleaning up messes. Hey, Johnny. My name is Mitch Gibson with HRM Insurance Services. How are you doing today, sir? Good. I'm a workers' compensation specialist here located in Central Indiana who specifically works with businesses like yours who want to gain back control of the one thing that controls your workers' compensation cost and premium, and that is your workers' compensation experience modification factor, or maybe what you know it as your experience mod. The reason for connecting on this specific cause is because Van Heating and Cooling, your business, is currently sitting at a 1.29 mod, which places you at the bottom 15% of all HVAC contractors in the state of Indiana. Were you aware that your business is currently sitting in the bottom 15% of HVAC contractors in the state of Indiana with workers' compensation insurance? No. Well, what this means, Johnny, is that you're paying up to 30% more for workers' compensation insurance than all of your other competitors in the state. And in a nutshell, what that means by paying 30% more is that you're leaving thousands and thousands of dollars on the table each year that you could be using to grow your business. Now, with that being said, have you, in the last 5 years, had your current agent or anyone complete a workers' compensation mod analysis on your business to show you specifically how each claim and factor has been affecting your bottom line? No. The only reason I laugh, man, is because, one, I'm sorry to hear that. Because on average, we're finding out when we run these mod analysis that about 50% of mods are inaccurate by just performing this analysis. And with you now knowing that you sit in the bottom 15% of all HVAC contractors in the state of Indiana, and on top of that, you're paying 30% more for workers' compensation than your competitors, doesn't it make sense that we set up a time early next week to meet, review a mod analysis, and help you better understand, one, the first and foremost is that your mod is correct and it's accurate. And secondly, help you identify those factors that are costing you thousands of dollars every single year. Great. You would love to? What does next week look like for you? What about Tuesday morning? Anything work there or anytime Tuesday?
Great job on the elevator pitch. I think it was absolutely spot on. You did a really good job of making it as concise as you possibly could. With regard to the phone cold calling script, you did do the right research. I mean, Hayden nailed it last year. Hayden is still using that same script today to win business. And so you can't go wrong with 2 no's to a yes, getting it customized to what you want it to be. The one thing I would give you from a constructive criticism standpoint is don't get so wordy on the phone. Now, I realize that you're acting because you're not really talking to somebody and it's not real world and it will go much different. But I think that you're being very optimistic if you think you're going to keep somebody on the phone that long, talking about this stuff. So I realize you're getting value proposition out and you're putting information, into that call, but just keep in mind the one thing you want to do is make sure that you're establishing up front that they're not expecting your call, that you respect their time, and then also put a value on your own time. I always tell people, look, I know you weren't expecting my call, so I promise to be brief. And honestly, I've got 1 million of these calls to make, so I need to be in and out, if you know what I mean. I feel like, it was more the fact you were doing this for a video than what you were doing in the real world. So I'm not necessarily putting a lot of weight on that. I'm giving you that feedback because in the real world, you need to be ready for short, sweet, and to the point.
My elevator pitch is going to be short, to the point, and when I say it builds curiosity, it builds curiosity. So that means that person's going to want to engage and see how far we can take this conversation. So, my elevator script. We do the shit you don't want to do. That's it. Succinct, builds a lot of curiosity, and it has them now further the conversation. So they're going to ask, and what's that? What the response to that is going to be is we provide a multifaceted financial approach that allows business owners and business leaders to delegate and outsource the tasks that should have never hit their desk in the first place. So this allows businesses to become more efficient by focusing on their specialty and their bottom line. So I want to pick up the phone. I want to create curiosity. I want to build trust, and I want to get that commitment on the first call. So this is how my call would go. Mr. Carruthers, hey, I know I'm an interruption to your day. Would you give me a quick 17 seconds to tell you why I'm calling? Mr. Carruthers, I believe I've discovered a breakthrough that completely changes the way businesses deal with the frustrations of the day-to-day handling of tasks that don't fall within their specialty trade or even their job description. So the reason for my call is I would love to schedule an introductory meeting to tell you about this breakthrough. So do you happen to have your schedule with you? And they're either going to say yes, no, or we're going to find a time that makes the most sense for us to move forward and talk about this breakthrough, our multifaceted financial system approach that allows business owners to take things off their plate because we do the shit they don't want to do. You know, we've got the two no's to a yes scripting as well, but all I'm here for today is that 17 seconds to book the meeting, because from there I can solve pain points. I'm not going to solve those pain points over the phone because that's not what this is for. That's for the discovery call. And that's all I'm trying to book today.
Elevator pitch, 100% on point. Might get some pushback on using that language when giving an elevator pitch, but when you're dealing with contractors, probably not as much as you would if you're dealing with accountants, right? So that's up to you to know who your constituency is and whether or not that's going to play. But I love the fact that it's short to the point and it's going to draw them out into more conversation. With regard to the cold call script, I feel like you need to, I think your script is good, but my issue is I don't think you're going to get the hit rate you're going to get if you build it just a little bit more. You can do it the 17 seconds, 27 seconds. Chris Beal talked about it on the podcast. It's obvious that everybody went and watched that or listened to it because everybody's referring to it in one way or another. But as soon as I come out of that, I'm going to hit them with something emotional, like, are you happy with? Is it okay with you that? Something like that. And it's the 2 no's to the yes that I'm getting into. But the reason 2 no's to a yes works is a couple reasons. Number one, you're going after something emotional. Are you happy? They're going to get invested in that. Number 2, you're going to go and make them feel like they're not getting something they should when you get into, the mod audit or whatever else that may be. And then you go for the appointment by bringing everything together and saying, well, basically, since you're not happy with this and you're not getting this, wouldn't you agree that it makes sense? Because at that point, you've painted them into a corner and they can't get out. So you're going to get the appointment. Overall, good job, but I would tweak your phone script just a little bit more to get to that next piece.
Jump right in. Elevator pitch. So again, listening to Chris Beal, Chris Voss, looking at your content, I have 2 different elevator pitches. I think, something very short and sweet. I kind of call it the 1 floor ride, 30 seconds. And that is, we specialize in working alongside California contractors and starting, growing, and protecting a successful construction business in California. Now, having given the opportunity to have a little more time in that elevator, I have a elevator pitch number 2, and that starts off essentially the same approach, as that is, we specialize in working alongside California contractors and starting, growing, and protecting a successful construction business in California. And we do this by providing the best-in-class legal, financial, and risk management services that put money back in their pocket and increase their profitability. Next, we have the phone script. And again, I've kind of combined a lot of the learning I've kind of soaked in the last few weeks to take a little bit each from Chris Beal, from Chris Voss, from your content, and kind of encapsulated it into this approach. Again, the goal here is to get them to the 2 no's and to a yes. I think the content is there. I'm practicing it, rehearsing it, but I believe I've got a foundation of what I want to go forward with.
This is what I like about you. You go out and find the answers. You don't send me messages asking, can I point you in the right direction? Can I tell you about where my resources are located or whatever else? You go find the answers. You seek multiple points of information and advice, and then you meld those together into something that is going to work for you. And that's what the absolute best producers do. My whole approach is a combination of everything I've read, listened to, watched over the course of my career. So yes, I have some experience and I've got some defined processes, but at the end of the day, every single one of us should do exactly what you're doing. So I don't really have anything at all that I can give you for constructive criticism because I feel like your submission has done everything I asked for it to do. And what makes me excited for you, Kevin, is I know you have the audience that you're able to use this stuff with. You're building a great social presence and platform for you to begin to sprinkle some of your mousetrap in amongst them and let it start working. So what I'm really excited to see is how this plays out for you going forward in the real world, because I know it's going to work. I just want to see how you execute it and how many dollars it turns into for you.
Diving into it, we got the cold call script for restoration, little tweaks for the other niches, but for the most part, it's the same because my goal is the same. And that's only to schedule a meeting. I'm not talking value proposition. I'm not talking solutions. I'm not closing deals. I'm not quoting insurance. None of that is happening. All that I'm doing is getting to schedule a meeting. So you can see pretty simple here. I'm trying to break down and lower their zone of resistance, as Josh Braun would say, so that it kind of catches them off guard. And I get past the awkwardness of the fact that it's a cold call. I move from that into the problem that I solve and trying to pique their curiosity enough that they'll want to take 15 more minutes to go into a meeting with me about what I do differently in this breakthrough that I found. And then I just ask for the meeting. Do you happen to have a calendar available? I want to get on their time, get that calendar and date down, and then send them a calendar invite right after that phone call. Script is there, fairly easy. I doubt you want me to go through it. Over on the other side here, we've got the elevator pitch. Again, pretty simple. I want to try to, in a sense, tell a story so that it's a little bit different from just blabbering what I do, but kind of let them understand there's an issue, I have a solution, and pique their curiosity of diving into that.
Listen, you have sort of been one of those people that's been middle to upper pack the whole time, and it just depends on how you've addressed the challenge. And I think that you absolutely nailed this one. I don't know what I could say to make your work product look any better or sound any better. And it's obvious you put time and thought into it. Love the fact you're using some of the Josh Braun stuff. It's funny because Ryan Stillwell, who's in Power Producers Mastermind, and I had a call last week, and we were reviewing some of his phone stuff. And he, one of his lines is, "Are you going to hate me if I tell you I'm calling you about your insurance?" And it's very similar to what you said. So it was funny to listen because Ryan has actually shared some of his call recordings with me so that I could hear them when he's interacting with real prospects. And nobody hangs up when you do that. Like, the people laugh about it and think it's funny. Like, "Oh yeah, no, it's okay, man. I get a lot of calls about this. How can I help you?" And stuff like that. So really, really good job to soften the blow that way. But overall, Really happy with your work product this week. You should be too. Great job. Keep building momentum, man, because you are building it at exactly the right time. You guys are starting to make it real hard for me to figure out who's going to be the top 6.
So without further ado, I'd like to roll into the phone script. Hello, Mr. Howard. My name is Brian from risksucks.com. Even though we've never met, I recently learned that Webco has money leaking from inflated expenses. Now, I know you're busy like me, but I felt it was important to call you and share that your workers' compensation cost is 15% higher than the average competitor in Oklahoma. First question, are you happy paying 15% more than your competition for workers' comp? No. Has anyone provided you with an in-depth mod analysis that can show errors or claims that are adversely affecting your costs? No. Would it be a ridiculous idea for us to meet and see how we can help you reduce your workers' comp expenses? No. Well, I will be in your area next week. What day is better for you? Tuesday or Wednesday? 10 a.m. or 2 p.m.? Please let me know also who else should attend if there's any additional questions that should come up during the meeting. Thank you so much. Mr. Howard, I'm looking forward to our appointment.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. What floor are you going to?
10.
10? That's the same floor I'm going to.
Oh, really? What do you do?
I started a company called risksucks.com to help companies find money displaced as an expense. Our processes provide the companies with the solutions they need to turn those expenses into revenue.
Wow. How does that work?
You may or may not know, risk management and insurance are closely associated with each other. RiskSucks goes beyond premiums to uncover errors and show companies processes that shrink risk and reduce expenses all year long.
Interesting. Do you have a card?
Yes, I do. Please feel free to contact me next week. I really enjoy helping companies find hidden assets.
Absolutely. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
You are definitely not one of the people that I had to worry about lacking confidence. I can say that unequivocally, man. You're certainly confident in yourself and you're willing to push the envelope and get yourself out there. I have all the respect in the world for that. And what I would tell you is you are hitting your stride and picking up momentum at exactly the right time. Elevator pitch was great. Phone script was straight out of my playbook, so I would be very hypocritical if I were to critique that. I like how you framed it because you definitely made that your own, but it is certainly a powerful and effective phone script. In both the elevator pitch and the phone script will serve you well in the real world. If I were to give you some constructive criticism, number one, I would tell you need to find a better dry cleaner to press that jacket because that thing looks like it came out of the corner of your closet somewhere on the floor. You know, you're not going to go into a public meeting, I hope, with a jacket that hasn't been pressed. Yes, I'm nitpicking, but seriously, I'm also being serious to a certain degree. The second piece that I would tell you is you missed an opportunity in the elevator, and I realize this is just acting, but I'm going to bring it up now because if I don't and you miss it in the real world, I'll feel bad that I didn't. You didn't ask the guy for his card or his contact information. It was all about you in that conversation. So what I would tell you is when you're using your elevator pitch, I would take the concept of what you did and the information in there. And I understand, man, elevator pitch is supposed to be about you. But in that kind of a conversation, get the part about you out quick and then tailor that a little bit so you can get the same information to him, but interact more in the conversation with him. You did a good job of leading him. He asked the questions, but I understand that whole thing was scripted. And at the end, you didn't ask him for his business card, his contact information, or anything. And so you need that to be able to follow up. You want to put it in a CRM or whatever you're going to use for follow-up. But all that being said, wrinkle jacket and not getting the card aside, great job on the actual meat of the Protege work. Make those couple tweaks for the real world, man, because that's the difference between good and great.
I have to say that the gloves had to come off the wall and definitely had to go on because this girl has been making a ton of phone calls. I have honestly just been going through and just running through scripts, trying them out, seeing how they sound, see how I sound, see what resonates. And so this is what I have at present. And lots of different scenarios as well, just because I figured, you know what, why not set myself up for success and do more situations that I'll encounter instead of just one. So we'll start out with the elevator pitch, and then we'll of course go into the other one. So elevator pitch. I am Abby with Cross Insurance Agency. Are you aware of the failure rate of trucking companies? I help truckers succeed and grow, stay on the road, and get more loads through communication and education. And then for my voice drop, I have, hello, this is Abby with Cross Insurance. I realize I might be the 338th call you've received since activating your DOT, so I'll be brief. I've helped over 100 new trucking companies like yourself get the insurance needed to be successful. My YouTube channel, Abby Answers, will answer questions about things such as starting your business, preparing for audits, and telling you about compliance changes as they come. So enjoy the channel and call me at 360-967-4533 to get started. That would be my scripts. So we're just continuing to put them in practice and punch fear in the face. And I'm really finding that by having these already done, it's just helping me to just jump right into it and leading into good conversations.
It's never been about your technical skill set. It's never been about your creativity. It's never been about a lack of desire to work for you. In my opinion, watching your journey go through these challenges, the one thing that's been holding you back, whether you realize it or not, is this right here. It's your self-belief and willingness to challenge and push yourself and get out there in front of these people. And out of everybody that's participated on the Protege, I have seen you make more progress in that area than anybody else. Partially because, in all honesty, a good number of these people have no fear. So it really wasn't anything. I mean, Brian McCall, for crying out loud, I have to rein him in. So, I tell you that because you are catching momentum exactly where you needed to catch momentum. You've already gotten immunity at this point, and you're setting yourself up to crush it when it's time for the production rounds to start hitting. And you're going to do that because you've taken the time, developed good work product, and you've now understand the behaviors that you have to have in order to make this thing a success for you. And you've already gotten the next challenge, I know, and the challenge after that. So you know how this thing ends up. But all I can tell you from an advice standpoint is keep doing what you're doing. Some of the contestants on the show think that this is just for the show, and it's not. The people who are going to ultimately be the most successful, the Ryan Smiths, the Abby Johnsons that have already gotten their immunity, understand that these are things they're going to use for the rest of their career, and they take it very seriously. And so the one thing I can promise you, I can't promise you you're going to win. That's going to be up to you. But I can promise you this. You're going to win a lot of business for the foreseeable future because you've built a great mousetrap, and now you have the confidence to execute it. I couldn't be prouder of you, and I know that your agency principals, the Crosses, certainly are very proud of you. And good grief, let's just go ahead and give a shout out to Stephanie Seeds, who I think is probably your biggest fan. Everybody's so proud of you, Abby. Great job. Well, that's a wrap. You have seen all of the top people for this challenge. And you probably saw that they were able to be very successful at whittling down something complex and making it deliverable. The people who struggled with being too wordy or not really understanding the difference between an elevator pitch and a phone script, But even the people who weren't in the top were solid this week. It's amazing how strong everybody is getting. And I have to tell you, it's humbling for me to watch how people have changed throughout this process. People who had no confidence are now at the front of the pack. And it's never about skill set. It's never about desire. It's just simply somebody getting in their own way. And Abby Johnson is a great example of that. I told her that in her feedback. I've watched Brad Toms come light years from where he was when he first started. And even though he's not in the top 6 this week, Brad is doing everything he needs to do to position himself to be successful moving forward. Mr. Lugo made a trip back to the finals, or to the top, I should say, to the top 6. And it's good to see him there. His product that he put together this week was exactly what I expect from him every single week. At the end of the day, here's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for an elevator pitch that is as much about the prospect or the person on the elevator as it is about you. When you do your elevator pitch, you only have a limited time, and you certainly want to get as much information as you can out about you and your firm to be able to develop or begin to develop a relationship with somebody. And your end game should simply be able to get their business card and give them yours, or let them determine where the conversation is going to go, but it has to still be somewhat interactive. The best elevator pitches are those where you are interacting and not just simply vomiting. With the phone script, it's a little bit different. I think it's important that you identify that it's only going to be a short call so the person stays on the line. And I could tell the people who went back and listened to Power Producers podcast with Chris Beal, I can tell the people who follow Josh Braun on LinkedIn, because there was a lot of different techniques that these guys share that were used in the phone script. But the most important thing about phone scripts, more than anything else, is that you have them formalized. A phone script is not something you should read word for word. It should be simply used as an established framework of the bullet points you should cover when you're trying to book appointments and cold call on the phone. You don't have to use the exact same verbiage every time, and you're certainly not going to read line for line, but you need to have it there as a point of reference and for accountability. What gets formalized and what's in your face is what's going to ultimately lead to you taking the action necessary to pick up the phone and start trying to book appointments. I loved the creativity of several of the contestants this time. Brian McCall has moved to the forefront as one of the strongest people in the competition at this point. I love the fact that we were able to get past the first couple of submissions where he was going more for the entertainment and wow factor, and now he's doing exactly what I know he's capable of doing, and that is providing an excellent work product that focuses on substance and value at the point of sale. In addition to Brian, Kevin has continued to blossom over the course of the last several challenges, and he's made his way to the top again. And it just goes on and on and on. I could hardly name all of the good stuff that I saw this week. So hopefully for everybody watching, you were able to take some things away and realize that this really is a blueprint for success in your own career. Until next time, it's kill or be killed. Next week on the Protege.
It's perfect timing.
Easily duplicatable.
The most challenging challenge so far.
I'm glad I got to dive into it.
Well, it's really something you have to test.